Excuse me. I'd like to welcome everyone to our August 16th, 2018 school board meeting. We have completed our executive session. Mr. Ragsdale, I believe we have a special introduction for us at this time.
Yes, sir, Mr. Chair, members of the board. Prior to the start of the school year, we had the privilege of hearing from one of our students who is here with us, Siddhant Mahapatra, first grade student at Eastside Elementary School. His message was particularly meaningful, especially for the leadership meeting that we were having. So we've got a video clip that I'd like to share and like everybody to see, and then we will invite Siddhant up to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance, and you'll see why that is relevant.
I always knew that these 31 words were important, very important. However, once my mom explained the meaning to me in detail, I realized that I was inspired, and I continue to be inspired every single day by these 31 words, the Pledge of Allegiance. These words make me curious about my country's history. They make me proud of my country's greatness, and they inspire me to love my country, community, and family to the fullest. The pledge inspires me to look beyond our differences and to always remember that we are indivisible, to show respect to everyone, and to learn to respect my freedom, something that many kids around the world don't have. The pledge makes me want to be a good and kind kid with a heart full of love and loyalty for my country, community, and family.
Yeah. So I want to invite Siddhant up to lead us in the pledge, but as he's coming up, if that's not an inspiration to us all, then you've got a big problem, and we've got more problems than we can stick a shake at. So with that, Siddhant, please lead us in the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
So just like at the leadership meeting, you could tell that it was a packed house, and he presented to us. But as I shared with him and his family after, that didn't happen by accident. That started at home. And again, I just want to say how much I appreciate, Mr. Morgan, the parental engagement at home and everything that you've brought through Siddhant to be able to bring to us. So I greatly appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you, young man. Let's turn to board recognitions.
Yes, sir, Mr. Chair, members of the board, if you'll join me down front, I think we've got about 13 recognitions tonight.
Mr. Superintendent, I'm going to make it 14. I'm going to ask Sadat to come forward. I'm going to ask Sadat to come forward with his family to be recognized by the board. He did such a great job tonight, so we're going to make it 14 recognitions. Please come forward.
Thank you for what you're doing, man. Thank you. Really appreciate you, man. Awesome. Thank you so much. You come right here. We'll get your picture. Right here. Stand with me.
Okay. All right, everybody ready? 1, 2, 3, and one more. Hold on. There we go.
Our next recognition tonight deals with STEM certification, and that is science, technology, engineering, and math. The Cobb STEM certification process is designed to recognize the Cobb schools or programs within our schools that support quality STEM-enriched learning opportunities. Schools are provided clear guidelines and criteria to support them along their STEM journey. We are excited to announce tonight that Vaughn Elementary School recently received our county's STEM certification, and if these people will please stand when I call your name. The principal, Dr. Shannon McGill, Assistant Principal Zachary Mathis, Advanced Learning Program Specialist Christy Garvin, STEM Lab Instructor Stacy Pitts, STEM and Innovation Supervisor Dr. Sally Creel, Science Supervisor Christian Calley, and Math Supervisor Michelle Mikes. Would all of you please come forward at this time to be recognized by the board and the superintendent?
All right, everybody ready? 1, 2, 3, and one more. Thank you.
I'm going to ask our supervisors to remain. We have another one we want to honor tonight, and that is Big Shanty Elementary School. They've received the Advanced Ed STEM certification as the internationally recognized mark of quality for STEM schools and programs. The Advanced Ed certification highlights Big Shanty's commitment to STEM education and preparing students for future careers in STEM fields. I'd like to ask the following to please stand when I call your name. Principal Kelly Luscre, Assistant Principal Kendall Kessing, Curriculum Specialist Betsy Oatlaka. The following teachers also stand if they're here: Jamie Thurman, Emily Hutto, Tracy Montague, Amanda Janey, Lindsay Robichaux, and Bill McAllister. If all of you will please come forward at this time so we can recognize you on this great award.
Squeeze it on the side. One, two, three, and try one more. Okay, thank you.
The board is excited to recognize Dodgen Middle School as the Georgia Middle School Science Olympiad state champion. After winning the state championship, Dodgen went to compete at the National Science Olympiad Tournament in June. The team placed first in meteorology and finished in the top 10 in Rhodes Scholar and Dynamic Planet categories. Would Principal Dr. Laura Lee Hill And our supervisors, please come forward to be recognized at this time. And anyone else from Dodgen that is associated with this great program, please come forward.
Ready? 1, 2, 3, and one more. Thank you.
Very good. Would like to ask North Cobb High School student Patrick Duckett to please stand. We are excited to announce that Patrick is the Georgia Student Technology Competition champion for 3D modeling. The goal of this competition is to challenge students like Patrick to become leaders in a digital age, and Patrick certainly is a leader. Patrick, you will be joined by Principal Matt Moody, Assistant Principal Mary Goodwin, CTAE Department Leader Cheryl Cox, Skills USA Advisor Michael Bacarsi, and CTAE Supervisor Jackie Brown. Would all of you please come forward as we recognize Patrick?
Appreciate what you do, brother. Yes. Yes, sir. Good to see you, brother. Good to see you again, brother.
All right, ladies. All right. Ready? 1, 2, 3, and one more. All right. Thank you.
Good job. Oh, that's it. Y'all can stay. We're going to have the North Cobb staff and the central office staff remain at the front of the room for our next award. We have the opportunity to congratulate one of our recent graduates, and that is Nolan Moore. Will Nolan please stand? He's been crowned the National Skills USA Champion for plumbing. After representing North Cobb High School in the state competition, Nolan advanced to the national competition where he outperformed all of the other plumbing students in our great country. Congratulations, Nolan. Please come forward to be recognized by the board and the superintendent.
Okay, 1, 2, 3, and one more. All right, thank you.
Next, we are thrilled to announce that Pope High School's baseball team captured the title of Class 6A state champions for the second year in a row. The 2018 state champions, who were ranked number 8 in the nation, defended their state title against Altoona High School last spring, and this is their third year that the team has played in the state championship. I'd like to invite the team to come forward along with Principal Tom Flugum, Coach Jeff Rowland, Assistant Coaches Kenny Lotz, and Matt Leidberg. stand up here for a picture. Right in front of us.
Get some of you on the roll here on step. Some of you on step.
Squeeze in a little bit. Oh, I can't see your face. Right there you go. There you go. Yep, I got you. Okay. All right. 1, 2, 3, and one more. Greyhound.
Good stuff.
Thank you, guys.
Good job, guys.
Congratulations. Good job, man. Congratulations.
We'll see you this year.
Thank you very much. As another athletic success for Cobb, we have the pleasure to recognize Allatoona High School for winning the Class 6A Directors Cup for boys from the Georgia Athletic Directors Association. This award is given annually to the most successful athletic departments in the state. We would like to invite up Principal Candace Wilkes, Athletic Director Amy Howard, and any other Allatoona staff that are here from their athletic program. Please come forward.
Congratulations. Yes. Awesome job.
Everybody squeeze in. Okay. Ready? 1, 2, 3, and one more. All right.
Good
Thank
stuff.
you.
Allatoona High School wasn't the only school recognized by the Georgia Athletic Directors Association. Tonight we have the honor of congratulating Walton High School for winning the Class 7A Directors Cup for girls. Winning this award crowns Walton as being the top athletic department in the state for girls sports for Class 7A. I'd like to invite up Dr. Chris Williams, Athletic Director, to be recognized by the board and the superintendent.
Congratulations, brother. Awesome job.
Squeeze in. Don't want to lose you on the side. All right. 1, 2, 3, and one more. All right. Thank you.
Next, we have two very special recognitions. These people have been a part of our team not only 10 years or 20 years or even 30 years, but they've been a part of the Cobb County School District Transportation Department for 40 years. So if they will please stand when I call their name. Let's start with Robert Curley. Bobby serves in our fleet maintenance department. He's a mechanic and a paint and body shop worker, and for the past 4 decades, he has had a hand in maintaining our buses, keeping them rolling safely for our students. Bobby, will you please come forward? And we're going to ask the following to come forward with you. Rick Grisham, Executive Director of Transportation. John Lyles, Associate Director of Transportation. Michael Warner, Associate Director of Fleet Maintenance. Please come forward with him.
Wow, excellent stuff, man. Yes, sir. Good job.
I can't see Miss Thayer.
Who can you not see?
Miss Thayer. Okay, I think I got her now. Oh, yeah, there you go. Okay, ready? 1, 2, 3, and one more. Thank you.
Does he have it? Tell him to. Okay. Next, we have Betty Stroop as a 40-year employee. Will Betty please stand? Betty is one of our valued bus drivers who gets our students safely to and from school every day and has for over 4 decades. She's a Mount Bethel Elementary principal, called Betty a superstar who builds positive relationships with her students and gets to know her students personally. I can say on a side note, Principal Appleyard did acknowledge that you were her middle school bus driver. Congratulations. We'd love to come up and be recognized by the board. We'll also invite up Mary Blake and Linda McClure and anyone else that would like to support her. I said Linda McClure. Yes, absolutely. I will. We also invite up Betty's family. We know she's got quite a few that are here, and we know it is a family commitment in that job. Betty has requested other drivers please get in the picture as well. So if you are a driver, please come forward. We know this is a true family commitment.
Part of Betty's family. You don't get part of the picture.
That's all right.
You didn't know you were going to do this, did you?
That's the team.
Hey, we're almost as big as the Cobb baseball.
Yes, we've been there. Congratulations. That truly, I'm going to say this, that truly demonstrates our mission of one team, one goal, student success, and that's a great support for Betty to see all of them here tonight. That demonstrates that support. Our final 3 recognitions tonight have the pleasure of paying tribute to the Teacher of the Year level winners. Our elementary Teacher of the Year level winner is Don Harrell. Don, please stand. Ms. Harrell teaches at Nickajack Elementary School and has been helping students succeed for the past 13 years. She loves everything about her job as a special education teacher, and it shows. Dawn, please come forward with Principal Laura Meyer to be recognized by the board and the superintendent. Family. Would her family please join her at the front of the room as well? Good. Good, proud of her.
Congratulations, brother. You gotta be proud.
She did. She walked right by. You remember that? I did. Yeah.
All right, family. All right. Come on, teacher of the year.
Be down. Chris, you just switch it up, brother.
Let's see. All right. Come on. You gotta, yeah. Squeeze in. Yep, yep. That's right, Miss Thayer. Just a little bit. Yep, there you go. Gotcha. That looks good. All right. 1, 2, 3, and one more. Thank you.
Our Cobb County High School Teacher of the Year is Rachel Sanford. Rachel, please stand. Rachel is dedicated to serving not only the academic needs of her students, but also the emotional needs of her students. She has spent almost 2 decades helping students become better citizens of our world. For much of that time as an educator, she has supported students at Harrison High School. We'd like to invite Rachel up along with Principal Ashlyn Campbell and any of Rachel's family. Please come forward to be recognized by the board.
Good job, man. I know you had a lot to do with it. You know,
All right, ready? 1, 2, 3, and one more.
And finally, tonight, we have the honor of recognizing not only our middle school level Teacher of the Year, but our district level Teacher of the Year, and that's Mr. Fred Veeder. Mr. Veeder, will you please stand? An excellent teacher. One student described this Dodgen Middle School math teacher as not only 1 out of a million, but 1 out of 7 billion. His fellow educators describe him as awesome and amazing, and after 15 years at Dodgen, they view him as a mentor and a leader. Would you please come forward, Mr. Veeder, along with Principal Laura Lee Hill and any family that you have, please come forward to be recognized by the board and the superintendent.
Thanks for what you do, brother. Congratulations, man.
again, buddy. Exactly. Step here for everything. Yeah, exactly. Congratulations.
Okay. All right, come on. Should be used to the photos by now.
Exactly.
Yeah. Got more to come. All right. All right, Mr. Wheeler. There we go. All right, 1, 2, 3, and one more. Make sure. Okay, I think we're good.
That's it. Mr. Chair, that concludes our recognitions for this evening.
Okay. Now we'll have the superintendent's report, Mr. Ragsdale.
Public comment.
Oh, excuse me. Public comment, Mr. Doyle.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. We have 5 speakers tonight. How much time can we allot?
Let's do 3 minutes each.
Okay, our first speaker is Julia Spear,
I missed that.
and she will discuss implicit bias. She'll be followed by Ofer Sadan.
I taught in Cobb for 20 years, and I just retired 2 months ago. I heard the term growth mindset many times. Growth, by its very nature, requires us to step out of our comfort zone. I am here with an invitation to grow. If you accept my invitation, you will experience discomfort. But great leaders consistently ask themselves 4 questions. What don't I know? Who do I need to listen to? What do I need to change? And what am I afraid of? A white female Cobb County teacher posted on social media that she did not see color. That's a problem, and it's hurting our children. If you don't know why that's a problem, implicit bias training. A Cobb County school teacher asked the school counselor how to address implicit bias in the classroom. The school counselor could not help said teacher because the counselor did not know what implicit bias was. That's a problem, and it's hurting our children. Another Cobb County counselor, a white female, in conversation about the lack of diversity in the school, dropped her voice to a whisper when using the term black people. That's a problem, and it's hurting our children. A Cobb County parent, when seeking help for her trans daughter and the use of school facilities, was told by the school counselor maybe she should drink less water as a solution. That's a problem, and it's hurting our children. The unwavering desire to ensure the best for our children is precisely why educators should have implicit bias and anti-racism training. Lack of training is hurting our children. 20 years I taught in Cobb. When I encountered issues around race in my classroom, I didn't know how to respond. How could I? There was no training. Who would I go to? My principal, another white woman who knew no more than I did? This is a difficult and complex subject. Teachers, principals, and the CCSD board need comprehensive training. Do it for the children. And I would like a response within 30 days.
Our next speaker is Ofer Sadan, and he'll be followed by Caroline Holko. Mr. Sadan will discuss school recess and PE lessons.
Hi, everyone. Thank you for allowing me to speak. So I'd like to talk about school recess and PE. I'm a father of 4. 3 of them are learning in the Cobb County schools. 1 will join them next year. We enjoyed the Cobb County school a lot, but the one thing that kind of hit us and surprised us is once our kid went to middle school, we found out that they don't have any recess. They spend the whole day and they don't get a break except for a brief time to eat. Now, I can tell you as my profession, I'm a physician, I'm a neurologist, neuroscientist, and I find it really hard to believe that people don't think that those kids need a break. They need a break because the brain needs a break because they are only kids. And even I, as an adult, I just finished a long day of service in one of Grady's ICU, and I needed a break in the middle of the day, and I just find it hard to believe that we don't allow our kids a break. They need a break because their brain needs it. They need a break because this is the time for socialization. This is the time for unstructured physical activity. And I can tell you that I personally read many studies on the subject that showed clearly the benefits not only for learning, but also for the behavior in the classroom. there's a clear linkage between the amount of time of unstructured recess that you give a kid and their BMI. So it has so many advantages that I just can't imagine that we're not doing it right now. On top of that, we found that PE is not mandatory throughout the school year. There's one quarter that they could have it, another quarter they maybe will have it, maybe won't have it. And also, I think that, given the epidemic of overweight these days, I think that the school has a significant role in getting the kids to have good habits for life. And one of those things could be if we make sure that the kids will have PE throughout the year. It doesn't have to be every day, but it has to be on a regular basis. So every kid will have physical activity structured and
30
unstructured
seconds.
throughout the school year. That's all I have to say.
Our next speaker is Caroline Holko, who will discuss Harrison High School, followed by Carol Thompson.
Good evening, members of the board. As I'm sure you're aware, as it's been the subject of a lot of media attention lately, that there was a bullying incident at the end of last year at Harrison High School. And inexplicably, the victim of the bullying is the only one who is facing any sort of consequences in the court system. I would like to ask the board to consider making a statement against that and working with whatever agency is necessary to remove the unnecessary consequences from the victim of bullying in the Cobb County school system. Also, I would like to say that I agree with every single word that the previous two speakers said. An overly structured day is very damaging to tweens. Thank you very much for your time, and I hope you will consider responding to me in writing. Thank you.
Carol Thompson is our next speaker, who will discuss supervision of administration, followed by Jillian Ford.
Thank you for allowing me to speak. On February 12th of last year, 2 days before the Florida shooter killed 17 people, an 18-year-old man threatened my 14-year-old son to come to our house. He bragged about his new hobby of blowing heads off of small animals with his new shotgun that he legally owned. He also bragged about a host of illegal activities that he did in and out of school, including violent acts on another student. We've known the bully since he was about 10 years old and bullied our entire neighborhood. And thankfully, we lost contact when my oldest son, who was in the same grade, entered a magnet program partly to escape the bullies that ran rampant at Lost Mountain Middle School. Both the bully and my oldest were seniors last year. My younger son was a freshman at Harrison High School, and he seemed to target my son once again. I called the police February 12th, and they told me to go to the school because they would know the situation better. They would know the students better. My son and I both went to the resource officer, who said that my son could fill out an incident report, gave it to him, and more or less said the kids will be kids, but they'd look into it. The Florida shooting took place, and all I can think of was that this senior, an armed and violent man, had threatened to come to our house. He could do God knows what in the school as well. The next month, I spoke with 2 school administrators and was told that they were looking into it. The first gave me the false impression that I'd receive a follow-up call to tell me whether or not my son was safe at school. The second informed me that I should never have expected such an update due to privacy laws. My son was never contacted. March 21st, 5 weeks after submitting the incident report, I sent a group email to everyone involved, the school administration, the superintendent, and the school board member. My son was then contacted for the very first time since filling out the incident report. I was then contacted by 2 members of the school administration. One seemed irate throughout our entire conversation. They assured me that had there been a threat, I would have been notified, but they could give no other details. That same night, the night that I sent the email, or the day that I sent the email, the bully contacted my son through a mutual friend, and the friend relayed the message that the bully knew my son ratted him out. My question to the school board is, where is the oversight that these matters are looked into? The senior, a man with a gun and a very long history of violence and bullying, threatened to come to my house. He could have done anything at the school as well. It is too much of a coincidence that the bully sent the
30
message to my
seconds.
son, thank you, the exact same day. I attempted to resolve the matter with the principal. She returned my call only after I contacted the superintendent's office. She assured me that the investigation had been completed in a timely manner and added that my son and the bully's teachers had been alerted to the possibility of violence at school. I contacted 3 of my son's 4 teachers. Not a single teacher had heard of the possible threat, ever. And that could have occurred at any time. I suspect the bully's teachers had not either.
Time, Ms. Thompson.
I'd like a written response as to who's responsible for supervising the school administration and who we can turn to if we feel that they're not doing their jobs, putting our kids in jeopardy. Thank you.
Our final speaker, Mr. Chair, is Jillian Ford, who will discuss racial climate in CCSD.
Hello, all. Hello, Superintendent and School Board. My name is Jillian Ford. As he said, I'm a 17-year veteran teacher and a current teacher educator at a nearby university. I'd like to start off by acknowledging the life and legacy of Miss Aretha Franklin. I hope that sometime today, if you have not already, you take a moment and think about the lessons you learned from our newly minted ancestor. Of course, we all heard from Miss Franklin about respect. It turns out that's what most people want. Harvard sociologist of education, Sarah Lawrence Lightfoot, has written a nationally acclaimed book titled Respect. The most significant finding from my whole entire doctoral dissertation was that what LGBTQ kids want most, more than anything, is to be respected in schools. Please continue to consider the word respect in what I'm about to say. About 1.5 years ago, I came to the Cobb County School Board meeting to express my concern about the racist Snapchat incident that had recently, at that time, occurred at North Cobb High School. Since that time, I have been to many school board meetings, and I have met other community members, parents, and students who are struggling day in and day out at Cobb County schools. In fact, I cannot remember talking to one single Black person affiliated with Cobb County schools that does not have a complaint about the insidious racism at the school and district level. I am here this evening not to chastise you. Instead, I am coming to you with a few ideas for progress. First off, it is time for Cobb County schools, you all, the superintendent and the school board, to acknowledge the racism that Black students and families feel in your schools. It is the truth. After acknowledging the severity of that problem, I'm asking that you take generative action. The good news is that we have plenty of resources in our locale to improve the racial climate for all students in our school. Perhaps if Cobb County school members
30 seconds.
would like to hear from the same people that I am talking to. Perhaps you could invest in a listening tour. Maybe you can invest in high-quality, targeted professional development for your teachers and school leaders. Perhaps you could create a special committee to look into the issues of race and racism in Cobb County. Whatever the method, this is the best possible time to make this progress in this area. You likely know that the Advanced Ed Accreditation Board is coming back in 2019. I'll just finish this sentence. In 2019, and at our last accreditation visit, we received very low, below average scores on creating an equitable learning environment. So this is a great time to invest in it. Thank you.
Thank you, all public speakers. Now we'll go with Mr. Ragsdale on the superintendent's report.
Yes, sir, Mr. Chair, members of the board. Earlier today, we launched the first day video. And right now, we have another video that I'd like to share. And in the theme of our mission statement of one team, one goal, student success, this just exemplifies student success because this video was created by one of Mr. John Stafford's students that work in his group. And so this was created by a high school student. Roll the video. That's awesome. High school. Yep. High school student created that, so greatly appreciate that. Mr. Chair, members of the board, ask John Adams at this time to bring items requiring action following executive session, and just a reminder that there'll be two motions affiliated with this section.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Superintendent, Mr. Chairman, members of the board, it's my pleasure to bring you the Human Resources Personnel Report for today, August 16, 2018. The administration recommends the approval of the identified employment actions of those individuals listed on the Personnel Action Report as discussed in executive session. We do have 3 principal level and higher position recommendations. Dennis Campbell, Director in Planning in the SPLOST Department, recommend you approve retirement effective August 31st. Cheryl Davis, Director Evaluation Systems and Human Resources, recommend you approve retirement effective December 1st. And Daphne Griffin, recommend you appoint her to Director in the SPLOST Department Operations Division effective September 1st. This concludes the personnel report.
Thank you, Mr. Adams. I have a motion to accept the personnel report. Ms. Thayer? Second.
I'll second.
Second, Mr. Scamhorn. Any discussion? Mr. Sweeney?
Thank you, Mr. Wheeler. I just want to give a shout out to Mr. Campbell, who served this capital improvement programs that we've had across the district quite admirably for a number of years and kept us on track and really did a remarkable job, and thank him for his service.
Okay, any more? Mr. Scamhorn?
I'd like to add to Mr. Sweeney. Mr. Campbell's been here, I won't say forever, but he's been here a while, and he's done an excellent job. And he's, to the best of my knowledge, has always done what he's called upon to do to the best of his ability, and he'll be missed. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other discussion? All in favor? Opposed? Vote is 7-0 in favor. Okay, next is our,
We got one other motion.
Student matter.
excuse me. Mr. Morgan.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I would like to make a motion. I move that the board approve a settlement with a special needs student discussed in executive session. The district will provide tuition and educational services and related items as discussed.
Have a motion to accept Mr. Morgan's. Ms. Thayer, second. Anybody? Did anybody will second that? Oh, you're second, okay. Excuse me, I'm with you. Any discussion? If not, we'll vote. All in favor? All right, we got 7 opposed. Motion carries 7-0. Now it's our action.
Yes, sir, Mr. Chair, members of the board. I believe all the agenda items tonight were moved to consent agenda
Sounds good to me.
without objection.
Without objection, we're going to take that. All right, that's good. And we will go to board member comments. We'll start with Mr. Sweeney.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. First of all, I'd like to start off by congratulating and thanking the Wheeler Culinary Arts Program. They actually prepared dinner for the board earlier this evening. The program is led by teacher Tierra Gillian, and then the following students were there as well, and the food was amazing. Ariana Cartagena, Lyric Kirby, Atlantis Murphy, Alana Murphy, and Noah Price. Thank you very much, and I think I joined the board in saying it was an absolutely delicious meal. They do amazing things there. As a matter of, for example, Wheeler High School has a senior project that they do annually, and they invite several parents to judge student projects, and that's just another example of the culinary program and what they do. They prepare meals for all kinds of families when they come in, so they did a great job. Secondly, I'd like to extend some big congratulations to Dodgen Middle School. They're on quite a roll. In addition to being recognized this evening here at the board meeting, not only having the District Teacher of the Year in Fred Veer, they also were recognized for the Middle School Science Olympiad state champions, and they did extremely well on the national level as well. But they were also recently awarded the National PTA School of Excellence Award, followed up on the heels of the award I should say at the tail end of last year, being recognized as a National Blue Ribbon School of Excellence. So a lot of great things happening at Dodgen. Next, Walton High School. Want to give them a big congratulations this evening. We heard from the administration in recognizing the accomplishment for Walton High School's girls sports program as the Class 7A Georgia Athletic Directors Association Directors Cup winner, which is an amazing accomplishment for the school. And I wish them the best in the kickoff this weekend in the Corky Kell Classic. I think we have several Cobb County schools that are performing or will be playing in that game, and welcome to football in the fall. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mr. Sweeney. Ms. Thayer?
Thanks. At this afternoon's meeting, former Superintendent Kermit Keenum spoke and brought to our attention that Harold Posey had passed away recently, and Harold Posey was a board member from many years ago who served 5 terms on the board, but he did impact our system and was a part of our history. He was here to, he was a part of the founding of the Performing Arts Program at Pebblebrook, and again, when you serve 5 terms, you have a lot to do with the history of our system. So I want to recognize the contributions that he made to the Pebblebrook community and to our school system as a whole, and to recognize those contributions that he made, and to thank him posthumously for his service to our system. I also want to thank everyone involved with getting our schools started back up again. People think that school systems rest in the summer, which is a joke. We all know that that's not true. It takes getting the buses ready to go again and hiring all of the teachers and personnel, everybody involved, and principals getting their buildings cleaned up, and the ones that have construction going on, and Mr. Parker and all his crew trying to get construction and improvements done in the summer and everything that's involved. It's quite an undertaking, and the fact that it starts smoothly every year is amazing. But thanks to everyone who makes that happen every year for us. We really appreciate that. Thank you, guys. Thanks.
Thank you, Ms. Thayer. Mr. Banks.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. First of all, I want to say congratulations to all the teachers and the staff that's returning back to school. I think this year was a very exciting, not only exciting, but also a very organized and very enthusiastic return to our school system. Also, I want to say congratulations to the Davis Elementary School for their, I think it's the National School of Excellence. Also, I'll steal some thunder from Mr. Sweeney about Brumby and East Cobb Middle School. If you would like to make a comment, I'll pause a minute.
Well, it would be hard to miss those two schools on Terrell Mill Road. But we did have a remarkable ribbon cutting ceremony, and by all accounts, I think things are going very, very well. You know, it's amazing when you know, everything does come together as it should. I know that the SPLOST department really worked diligently at the tail end to get the schools open on time, to get the certificate of occupancy, and then also for the staff and the administration for both of those schools transferring everything from one school to another, and the teachers getting everything set up. It really is remarkable. We had a fantastic opening ribbon cutting celebration there, and the community, by all accounts, is just raving about how wonderful the schools are.
Thank you, Mr. Sweeney. Also, as most of you know, I ride the bus the first day of school each year, and this year I rode with Monica Bobeck, bus number 2083. Our route was Garrison Mill, Lassiter, and Maybury. It was an enjoyable trip. Learned a lot about Monica. She's from Minnesota, and she's been down here, I think, about 7 years, but she was a bus driver in Minnesota, and she's young. Also, got a question. I had the opportunity, and many of us had the opportunity of participating in the new teacher orientation at McKeechee High School last month. And I have a question, if Mr. Adams knows the answer, is how many teachers did we hire, and do we have a breakdown by school levels?
Thank you, Mr. Banks. We do. We hired just over 800 new teachers, and just about half of those, just under half, were elementary school, and then the other half were split roughly between middle and high school. Some really good numbers when you dig down, especially into that number. About 20% of those teachers were people that were promoted from within Cobb, that were either working as paraprofessionals or in other capacities or working part-time and became full-time. So we've done a good job with that. And 10% of that number, just over 10%, 82 teachers, were hired from other districts and had previously worked in Cobb. So 10% of those folks were coming back to Cobb because they knew that it's just better here.
That's good news. Do we have an idea of how many? I lost my train of thought, so I'll pass on that. But
I'll interject that school bus drivers have asked if you ever ride a bus again, we provide a monitor.
I will invite you. But thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Banks. Mr. Chastain?
Well, thank you, Mr. Wheeler. I would echo a lot of the comments that have been shared already. I think we've had a great beginning to the school year, so I'd like to offer a little bit of a history lesson. It was great to have Kermit Keenum come by this afternoon and honor Harold Posey, but one of the neat things for me is that Kermit Keenum was the superintendent and signed my high school diploma when I graduated from Wheeler High School. And you mentioned the Brumby opening. Mrs. Luttrell, one of the part of the Hill family that was there, she drove my bus when I rode it when I was at Wheeler. But here's the thing I want to tell you about Kermit. The little bit of trivia that he had reminded me of is many, many, many years ago, the county was desperate, like we always seem to be, trying to build new schools. He needed some land. And he asked one of the board members at the time to make an introduction to a person that owned some property that Kermit felt be very important, and he kept refusing. I don't want to talk to anybody. I'm going to hold on to my property. So finally the introduction was made, and according to Kermit Keenum, and this also ties in, Kermit Keenum finally got a meeting with Frank Gordy, the owner of the Varsity. And Kermit convinced Frank Gordy that he should sell that land to Cobb County Schools. And so that's how the land was acquired to build Lassiter. And Kermit this is the 90th anniversary of the Varsity, for those of you that are longtime Atlantans or anyway. And so that's what evoked. He said he ate a lot of Varsity chili dogs while he was negotiating with Frank Gordy, and that's how we got the land for Lassiter. So I thought I'd just share that. And I'm looking forward to a great school year. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Chastain. Mr. Scamahorn?
A couple of things. I want to welcome everybody back to a new school, and for the school this size, school system this size, we had a very good opening. A couple of flaws, but nothing that wasn't dealt with very quickly. And in spite of some of the rumors, we have a well-balanced school, and we're very proactive with looking into issues and problems and getting those solved. Couple of folks I want to, and it was brought up about Brumby and East Cobb Middle School. Things don't just happen. The people make them happen. It's, some people wonder what happened, and others make things happen. And he may not want to, but unless the superintendent gets on me. Mr. Parker, would you please stand? I want to give Mr. Parker, Nick Parker, a shout out. Things don't happen by themselves. I know John Adams and your staff, Mr. Parker, that just doesn't happen. Mr. Johnson, you got to make sure the money's there. Academics, these things don't happen by accident. We opened up 2 really fine buildings at North Cobb, and I want to give a shout out to maybe a distant memory, not too distant. Linda Crowder Eagle sat in my chair 6 years ago, and she and I worked together to get the theater and the auditorium on the SPLOST and to make sure that it progressed. So, Ms. Eagle, wherever you are, I hope you can at least feel the energy if you don't hear this. But those are the kind of things that I think we take for people and things that we take for granted, and it's to our peril if we do, because things can descend into chaos a lot quicker than they can succeed. And Mr. Superintendent, it starts with you. I want to thank you. Choosing just super great people and continuing the road of success. So thank you very much. Last but not least, hug a man or woman in uniform, military, fire, police. Thank them every day, because our society would be in chaos without them. And buy them lunch if you see them at somewhere while you're eating. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Mr. Scamahorn. Mr. Morgan?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I would like to, in getting the school year started, I have this fascination with finding unsung heroes. And some unsung heroes all around the school district are custodians. Getting these school buildings together is a mammoth job. And it's not like they got reams and reams of people, especially in these schools that are rather spacious. So custodians, people walked in the building, the floors were shined and everything was looking all spiffy. Thank you for what you add to our school district. Second thing, Darryl York. Man,
You want him to stand up?
You might as well go ahead and stand up, Darryl. Hey, Darryl, thank you. I want to personally thank you, man. Over the years, I've learned a lot from you, and anytime I've had a question dealing with policy or the best way, you've been very accommodating, very knowledgeable, and very patient with me. And I want to personally thank you for all that you've given to all of us in the school district, and you've made this school district better. So I just want to make sure that I thank you for that, brother. Final thing that I want to say is a part of the report that we got from John Floresta when he sent us the information about milestones was best 3-year trends test scores. And I think he might have gave us 10 or 12 schools on here. But I want to say over the last 3 years, when you add up all the different categories, look at that. When you add up all the different categories, schools that have had the highest trend in terms of growth in our school district. The number one school is South Cobb High School, 13.7%. Clay Elementary School, 13.2%. Riverside Intermediate, 13.2%. And a couple other schools that are in my post that are part of this, Cooper Middle School, 9.3%. Pebblebrook High School, 9.1%. And I say that's a testament, again, to hard work and continued growth. Most growth is not sexy, it's not overnight, and people want to romanticize it. But if you stay at it and you stay consistent and methodical, you'll eventually get there. So kudos to those schools, those staffs, and those school leaders. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Mr. Morgan. Mr. Superintendent, Mr. Ragsdale.
Yes, sir, Mr. Chair. First, unfortunately, I have to start out again with condolences. We've had, over the past couple of months, we've had a teacher and 2 students pass away. Allison Carroll, a teacher at Dowell Elementary School, and Ashley Bratton, a junior at North Cobb High School, and Isabel Willa Graham, a 6th grade student at Loving Good Middle, all passed away within the past couple of months. So certainly our thoughts and prayers go out to those families. Mr. Morgan, I didn't have this on my list, but you seem to have the ability to light a fire in me a lot. And you did that again by highlighting those South Cobb schools. Everybody knows our mission statement. It's no secret, and we live it, and everybody knows it. Our vision statement is equally as important, but not as widely known, because obviously we focus on our one team and 2 types of employees. But our vision statement is a school district of excellence where all students succeed. And I appreciate you highlighting those schools. And I've done this in the past, and I referenced it a little bit ago. But, when people start getting on schools because of the part of the county they're in, or because maybe the perception is that they're not as good of a school as this other one, these people just need to get a life, because our vision is accurate. I told you to get me fired up. So you just going to deal with it for a minute. You know what I'm saying? You start giving me amens, and it might go on for a minute. But, our vision is accurate, because all students are succeeding in the school district, because we have the greatest teachers anywhere. It is better in Cobb. We say that, and sometimes, it seems like it might be a little bit of sarcasm. It might be a little poking at other people, but at the end of the day, it's just the fact of the matter that it's better in Cobb. We have performance that academically has trended upward. It continues to trend upward, regardless of what school you go to. And Ms. Thayer, you outlined this a little bit ago as well during our conversation about the data. When we see something that needs attention, when we see academic performance that needs a little bit of boost, we get in there and we ramp it up and we get that done. Just as you outlined, Mr. Morgan, just a few minutes ago, the schools in your post and also Ms. Thayer's post that occurred with some of the highest level of growth. That's not by accident. Again, I just want to give a shout out to all of our teachers, all of our team, because just like you said with the custodians, it does take every single team member to make sure that we achieve our one goal of student success. And I just want to say that, regardless of us having only two types of employees, those that teach and those that serve those that teach, every single team member plays a vital role in the success of every single one of our 113,000 students. So we've had a tremendously positive and great opening to this school year. Parents are excited, students are excited, teachers are excited, and our team is excited about what's going to be brought about this year. Mr. Sweeney mentioned about the Corky Kell Classic that kicks off. Matter of fact, it kicks off tonight. And then it will be played this weekend, so we wish all of our teams much success. Right now, every team is undefeated. So this is probably the best day that we can ask for right now as far as fall football and Friday night lights. But we wish all of our teams tremendous success. I do want to give a shout out to Dennis Campbell. He has done a yeoman's job for this school district in planning and being able to tell us and help us plan on where lines need to be drawn, where we need to make tweaks, and where it's going to be best to build new schools. So that's just a tremendous benefit that he has brought us. And Daryl, you proved again tonight, line 217. I'm always kidded about being good with numbers, but man, that took it right there, man. That was a good one. That was a good one. So we're definitely going to miss you. Wish you much success in your retirement and much happiness. I don't know about success, but happiness at least. You know what I mean? So and I'm going to close. Again, recognizing, our student, Sadant, that came this morning. During that leadership meeting, I didn't know what his presentation was. So I saw it the first time with everybody else. And those that were sitting near me, Sally Creel was sitting beside me. And I probably said, man, this is awesome. I bet 10 times, sitting there listening to him. And again, that's not by accident. He got it at home. He had obviously parents that instilled that belief, it just outlines why this is the greatest country on the planet. So with that, Mr. Chair, I wish everybody a great school year, and before we know it, we'll be shaking thousands of hands and going across the stage that every single team member has had a vital role in the success of. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Ragsdale. That's true. I'd like to recognize again Rachel Sanford Harrison's High School Teacher of the Year, and for the district, she does a great job and very well respected in that area, in that community. Also had the honor of attending the Corky Kell kickoff luncheon yesterday. It's a premier event to kick off the high school football season, and Cobb has its imprint all over it. The people that are involved, it's not, there is Gwinnett stuff, but the name Corky Kell, I knew him personally, and he was a great man. Mrs. Kell, Beverly Postel, McEachern, and Coach Jimmy Dorsey. It's a first-class operation. It's a true showcase. This is like a national, one of the greatest high school events in the whole country. And it should be noted also that a former Cobb coach, principal, central office staff, superintendent, Fred Sanderson was honored with the Kell Award for Excellence in Coaching. He was a head coach at Wheeler High School. I believe he coached at Walton for a little while. But like I say, it's got Cobb all over it. Quality people coming through and still doing things. But best wishes to the teams from Kell, Walton, and McEachern as they kick off their season, and to all of our teams. And if there's no objection.
Let me say one more thing.
Mr. Ragsdale.
I'm sorry, Mr. Chair. I normally don't do this, but got too wound up, and blame it on Mr. Morgan for getting me fired up. You mentioned the Teachers of the Year, and I meant to say this. I always do this and always make this recognition, but it's so cool to be able to go at the beginning of pre-planning and announce at the schools the teachers of the year for the levels. And they generally do not have any idea about getting a car for a year for free. Nickajack, Nickajack was probably the funnest one. It was elementary, like I said, but Dawn just she was beside herself. But I say all that to say I just want to recognize Ed Voles and the true partner in education that they are to provide not only all three of our level teachers of the year, but also Marietta City. That's just an awesome thing that they do, and I can't say enough about their partnership that they provide for us. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Mr. Ragsdale. If there's no objection, we're adjourned.